Hey everybody! As you probably saw from the title of this video, it's What is a Switchblade? Now, I know that there are a lot of people who watch these kind of videos who already know what a switchblade is, and then we have some people who really don't know what switchblades are, they just hear the title, and then we have some people who kind of think they know what a switchblade is, but they really don't. And then even if they kind of do know what a switchblade is, they don't know why it is what it is. Now, I'm just kind of saying this for some people because, people are at different levels of what they know and understand and maybe what they care about. So, here we go. First of all, I'd just like to get one thing out of the way, is that some people think that switchblades are these really, really super dangerous offensive weapons that are just killing machines, which is absolute ridiculousness because they're not really very different from regular knives. Like the kind that people aren't freaked out by. But anyways, I digress. So, as far as I can tell, there are basically two main switchblades, or automatic knives. We have one here. This is the OKC Strike Fighter, and this is an out the side automatic. So you press the button, knife comes out the side. That's why it's called out the side. This one right here is out the front, and as you may guess, the blade comes out the front. Some smart people named these. Now, I have two other knives here you might notice. This one right here, this is a Kershaw something or other. I've had it for years. I paid like 12 bucks for it at Walmart. Wow. Do you see how that blade just whipped out of there? This is not a switchblade. This is an assisted opening knife. Okay? Not a switchblade. Which is kind of funny because if you look at how this thing opened, watch this. It really came out pretty quick. As a matter of fact, I actually think it came out quicker than this one. And with more force. Okay? But in a lot of states, this is a really, really scary, scary knife. Very scary. Dangerous. This knife, you couldn't hurt a fly with this one. Look at that. So again, very, very, very dangerous. Scary. This one, no, it's okay. It's just a little pocket knife. Does that make any sense to you? Well, if it makes no sense to you, I don't blame you, because it doesn't really make much sense to me. So here's the rationale behind it all. Let me show you something. Now, this knife can actually be opened in a few different ways. Okay? Now, one way, kind of like the old-fashioned way, but let's pretend this is a slip joint, is you can grasp the blade and you can just pull it open. And it locks, and you press it down and you unlock it. That's one way. Second way is that this has thumb studs that are on the knife. If you wanted to, you could just kind of push this with a thumb stud and open it. Or you can get kind of fancy. Let's see if you can flick this a little bit, like kind of. Well, I can't flick this one actually, like just kind of pull it out like this, but you can use the thumb stud. Again, the thumb stud that's attached to this. So we have two methods so far. One is to actually grab the blade and pull it open. The other way is to use the thumb studs as like a little shelf to pull it open, right? The third way, and this is probably the scariest of the three, is we push this lever and we open it. Now, those three methods, three distinct methods, have one thing in common, and that is that all three of them are either the blade or attached to the blade. One was just pulling the blade open. The second one was a thumb stud attached to the blade, or the third, the flipper, which is actually part of the blade. If you don't believe me, just look. Here's the flipper, and see how it's part of the same piece of blade steel? And then if you close it, you'll see the flipper goes bye-bye, disappears for a little while, and then comes out the other end. Look, it's emerging. It's emerging. There we go. So, according to some of the great legal minds who made some of these knife laws, if you physically manipulate the blade, it's not an automatic knife, and therefore it's not dangerous and a terrible killing machine. Okay? So, again, opening it this way, or this way, all three ways, your basically manipulating the blade. You're handling the blade. You're pulling it out, and it's not automatically going. Now, what's funny is this one, is, since it's assisted opening, actually has a spring in it. So when you're pushing this lever down, at a certain point, the spring kind of takes over and forces it out. Now, funny thing is with the auto, this also has a spring. But instead of pressing the lever, you're pressing a button. So right now, this is locked into place. And there's a spring there, just like this one has a spring. But by pressing the button, you're kind of unlocking it, and the spring shoots into place. Well, the spring, I should say, pushes the blade into place. So, this one has a spring that helps it open. This one has a spring that helps it open. It then locks into place. This one locks into place. They both have steel blades. They're both sharp. The only difference is, this one uses a lever attached to the blade, and this one uses a button that is not attached to the blade. If you think that's really stupid and makes no sense, I agree with you. That's really the only difference. And what I find funny is that these are looked at as these terrible, awful, dangerous weapons, because the thinking is that this could be fast to deploy and be used in an offensive manner. Well, again, if you look at this one, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a fine knife, but it doesn't deploy that quickly. This one, I think, actually deploys more quickly. Again, this is a $12 knife that I picked up at Walmart, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Okay? This one deploys more quickly than this one. This, the original price on it was like $250. I got it on sale at Blade HQ for like $45. But you know, here's the thing. I would actually rather have something like this. Let's say I'm on a ladder or something. I'd actually rather have an auto than, let's say, a slip joint or something, because I can open it with one hand. Most slip joints you can't open with one hand. Some you can, but usually you can't. But I can open this with one hand, and I can close this with one hand. I know some people say, it's impossible to close. I've actually heard people on YouTube say, you can't close an automatic knife with one hand. Oh, okay. Oh, what the hell did I just do there? Anyway. So this is the whole crux of why these things are dangerous, is because you're not actually touching the blade to open the knife. It's crazy. Same thing with this. You're pressing a lever. Lever's releasing spring tension, springs push the blade up. It's insane. But then here's where it gets even crazier. I got two reasons why it gets even crazier. This one right here is a button lock knife. Now, I've handed this to people before, and the first thing they do, especially if they know I like switchblades, is they push the button. This is a Civivi Altus, by the way, if you're not familiar with it. And this is a button lock, and they'll press the button. And they press the button. And nothing happens because there's no spring in there. Okay? With this knife, you can open it just by the blade, just like the other knife, just like a traditional slip joint if you want. And then this just unlocks it. So you just press this button, and it unlocks it. You can, get your thumb and guide the thumb stud, because the thumb stud is attached to that blade. Okay? And the other thing you can do, you can be old fancy and flick it a little bit if you want to. Kind of like a spider coat without the spidey hole. Okay? And then you lower it. Now, here's what's funny. Some states have laws against gravity knives. Okay? Now, these are the people who are afraid of springs. Well, they're frightened of springs, but they're absolutely petrified of a knife that you don't have to touch the blade on. But they don't realize it's that you don't have to touch the blade on. What they're really afraid of is that you press the button and it comes out. Now, here's what's funny. Gravity knives are illegal in a lot of states. Okay? And when people think of gravity knives, they think of something that looks like this, where you press a button and the blade slides out. Kind of like on the idea of like the Riot Exo, if you're familiar with that. If not, check it out. Cool knife. But here's what I find funny about this. A lot of the states that ban automatic knives or switchblades also ban gravity knives, and they define a gravity knife as a knife that can be opened either through inertia, centripetal force, or gravity. Now, here's what's funny. This is a Civivi Altus. As far as I know, this type of knife, as far as length and everything, would be legal in all 50 states. You can buy this, as far as I know, at any online knife retailer, including Amazon, get it shipped right to your door. Now, I already showed you. You can open this by the blade, you can open it by the thumb studs, you can flick it. Guess what? Oh my God, I just flicked it using inertia / centripetal force. Now, that actually meets the definition of a gravity knife in some places. So does that mean this is a gravity knife? Does this mean that some overzealous jerk can then prosecute you for it? I don't know. So again, I use centripetal force, right? Now, here's another thing. I'm holding it upside down. I don't have the widest screen, but watch this. Whoop! Uh-oh, I just opened it using nothing but gravity. It's dangerous now. Now that's one crazy, stupid thing I had to bring up to you. Here's another thing. What would you say if I told you that I have a knife whose, let's call it, blade presentation is faster than any automatic knife? It's pretty exciting, isn't it? Huh? Well, watch this. You're going to love this. You ready? This is a $7 Ozark Trail fixed blade knife that I bought at Walmart. Now, if the two problems with an automatic knife are that the speed with which the blade is present and the fact that the blade is then deployed without having touched the blade, then they must be really, really afraid of fixed blade knives, because the blade is always deployed and it never has to be touched by a person. You just pull out the handle, and then you have this scary, scary fixed blade knife. Hurry up, hide all your steak knives, people. Hide the paring knives. Now, you might laugh at that and say, well, that's just crazy. They don't mean stuff like that. But you know what? That's scary, because it's so stupid. Okay? There's no common sense. You know, it's really, I mean, it's funny if you listen to it. If you really think about it, it's funny, because it just shows how stupid some of these people are. But it's also scary, because in a knife like this, which is not, you know, I mean, it functions as a gravity knife, really. But this is a very utilitarian knife, okay? I don't know any tactical individual who's going to want to carry a knife like this. Okay, maybe something like this. But no tactical individual is going to carry something like this. This is the kind of knife that you're cutting your boxes open, mail, maybe you're cutting your apple. I mean, this is what this is for. Okay, this is like a very, very plain, diminutive, get ready and get some work done kind of knife, in my opinion. Yeah, it looks snazzy because it's got, you know, I think it's got a cool color and the aluminum scales and whatnot. But this is something that in some states, an overzealous prosecutor or police officer could say, that's a gravity knife. Well, it does use gravity, but is it dangerous? Well, it's as dangerous or undangerous, that's even a word, as any knife can be. It's sharp, so I guess it's about as dangerous as those steak knives that are in the wooden block on your counter. But it's no more so. And treated with care, it won't be dangerous at all. So, I have addressed this in the past, kind of talking about stupid knife laws, but I really wanted to get a little more in depth about the topic, just to show people exactly what is and what isn't a switchblade, why it is that way, and how crazy some of the laws are. Now, with some other states, it's legal to, I love some of these, I believe it's Massachusetts and Connecticut. It is legal to own switchblades, and it is legal to carry switchblades, but I believe you can't carry a switchblade if the blade is over 1.5 inches. Now, I have never seen a switchblade with a blade of 1.5 inches or less. I've seen some that are like 1.9 something inches to be California legal, because in California, I believe the length limit on an automatic knife is 2 inches. So I have some Cali legal knives. I have a couple of ProTech Runts. I have a ProTech Sprint, a Boker Stubby. I might have one or two other ones. Those are Cali legal. I kind of like them though. They're, little tiny knives. But I've never seen one that's 1.5 inches, because nobody's going to make a knife just for Massachusetts or just for Connecticut. They don't have the population to justify it. But knife makers do that for California because they have the population to justify it. I guess you can't really cut anyone with a 2-inch blade, right? Yeah, can't do that. But anyway, I will leave you here, and I'll be back with some other kind of knife videos like this. If you like this video and you're still here, thank you very much. I would appreciate a thumbs up. It would be a big help, and it'll make me happy. Have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.